You know, Ultraman Decker's been done for a little bit. Let's talk about all the vehicles from it and Trigger.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Ultraman video. Today we're taking a look at the Guts Falcon, the Guts Hawk, the Nursedessi, and Terraphaser. These are all the vehicles that were used in Ultraman Trigger and Decker, and it's the Guts Select Fleet. This is everything released for the two shows. And I really want to talk about these because I got all of them recently, and I'm kind of missing Ultraman Decker at this point. While Trigger wasn't a favorite of mine, I really did love Decker, and that's why I own all these vehicles. So I thought, let's take a look at these because, you know, honestly, I just wanted to have fun with some toys. So we're going to take a look at all the vehicles and see which ones are the best and what the positives and negatives of these are, and also just their cool features. It'll be a nice little recap of the last 2 years of Ultraman. So let's begin. Alright, so we're going to go in release order, starting with Guts Falcon. Now, Guts Falcon came out during Ultraman Trigger in 2021, and then was later used in Ultraman Decker. Here's the packaging. Nothing too complicated. Let's look at the Guts Falcon itself. It's a simple little jet. It's very reminiscent of the Ultraman Tiga Guts vehicles, the Guts Wing 1 and 2. Specifically Guts Wing 1 with the yellow design and the sort of triangular shape. I don't have any other Ultraman Deluxe vehicle toys to compare sizes with, but from what I've seen, these are about the same size as some of those older ones, which is pretty cool, because for those that aren't aware, Ultraman had jets pretty much all the time in shows, and it wasn't until Ultraman Z brought in support robots, and then Trigger brought back the idea of having a support jet, that concept returned. But most of the Heisei Ultraman shows had fancy jets that got toys, so this was kind of a nice return to form. But overall, I mean, I like the way that the Guts Falcon looks. It's pretty cool. I do like that the Guts Select logo is there in a sticker, but it's also molded around the edges there, which means it looks less like a sticker, and that means the edges won't catch when you're playing with it, which I think is a very, very good benefit. On the bottom here, you can see we've got 3 wheels, so he's got landing gear to land, and he can roll a little bit. Just a little bit. Actually, he rolls pretty good considering he's a plane. That's pretty solid. Now, you can fold the landing gear away if you want a cleaner plane look if you're just flying around going whoosh, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, the Guts Falcon is known for its actual transformation mode. It's, you know, I think lovingly referred to as the Guts Chicken. I love this mode. But all you do is that. You just flip them around, boom. Now you got the kind of like little robot mode of the Guts Falcon, and I do really like this. It's cool. I like the idea of having like kind of a robot mode, sort of merging how Ultraman Z had support robots, and then the previous Ultraman shows had jets. Now you've got a support jet that turns into a support robot. It's pretty cool. Not super effective in battle, to be honest, but I think it's a pretty neat combo. Nonetheless, that's the Guts Falcon. Next up, we have the Nursedessi, which is the base for Guts Select, as well as a giant dragon ship. This was also released during Ultraman Trigger in 2021, towards, you know, Christmas season. But we got a nice big old dragon, as well as the actual ship mode. This thing is 900 millimeters long, so I will do my best to film it. Of course, on the back, you can see that it's got all of its features listed out. And then you also can buy an alternate head for this, which is an actual camera that connects to an app. I didn't do that, but that's totally an option if you wanted it. Alright, so here's the Nursedessi in its hangar mode. This is kind of its ship mode. It's sort of based on the Art Desi or the Nurse from Ultraman Tiga, and that's kind of like a merger of the two ideas. But we can see here that we've got a very nice looking ship. It is kind of a brick with legs. You know, no getting around that. You got the Nurse cannon up here at the top. There also is a clip, so if you wanted to have it grab kaiju vinyls, you could. I mean, not anything scale, but if you want it to grab Decker, you can. But as you can see, when you try to grab it, you know, it can cause it to lock in place, which is pretty cool. So you got that kind of options going. And then the actual, like, camera head portion up here, or the, not the camera head, the cannon head, you can actually open the mouth, and you can actually have the Mega Buster cannon there, which is kind of interesting, because, yeah, you can get an alternate head that would have a camera if you want, and this just pops right off to do that. But on the actual base version of the toy, it is just kind of a giant hunk of plastic. But you know what? That's kind of accurate to how it looks in the series. Speaking of how it looks in the series, this thing, when it is not sitting in hangar mode and wants to fly, you rotate these back, and then he's got jets on the back, so you can have the ship fly, which is pretty cool. What's also cool is he does have wheels on the bottom of his feet, so he does roll. Not as well as Guts Falcon. But speaking of Guts Falcon, if you go around here to the bottom, you can clip Guts Falcon in like that, and it can carry it, which I think is a cool compatibility feature that I didn't expect. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Now, of course, just like in the series, this does transform into its battle mode. But what we have here is the actual sound box, which has sound effects for each mode. So just like in the show, this does turn into its battle mode. So you want to pop this off. Try not to pop off parts that aren't supposed to pop off. There we go. We're going to split, bring this all the way around, extend this out all the way. And now it is too long for the camera frame. This thing is a giant. But basically, we want to rotate this around here. Well, things just pop off. Let's just go with that. I'm going to get the legs in position to where they're facing forward as legs. Pop that back on. Come around here. Take these legs, fold them down like this, pop it back on here, and then you want to just like rotate and position the head. It's a pretty straightforward transformation if you know what you're doing, and trying to do it on camera was harder than I anticipated. But there is Nursedessi's battle mode, which, as you can see, is really, really long. So if you can ignore the transformers in the back, that is the full length of the Nursedessi. It's 900 millimeters from head to tail, which is crazy. The other crazy part is you can pose it, but the problem I've noticed with this thing, the ratchet joints aren't really that solid. So if you pick it up, it's just going to kind of fall under its own weight. So while it's all ratcheted all the way across here, you can get like the tail posed. It shows kind of posing the intersection, but like, it just, this is the problem. It really just flops all over the place as soon as you pick it up. So the battle mode isn't the best because of the stability issues, but it is pretty cool when you just kind of set it down. But yeah, as soon as you pick it up, it just folds in under itself, which is kind of a bummer because it's not really fun to play with. It's also just really big. However, that sound box does have different sounds for the battle mode. So moving over to the Ultraman Decker side of things, the first Guts Select vehicle introduced in that series was the Guts Hawk, which is a cool new red vehicle. And I really do love the look of this one, because look at it. It's the Guts Hawk. What's really cool about the fact that they're reusing the vehicles from Ultraman Trigger into Decker is that we have a second ship to go alongside the Guts Falcon. As you can see, they pair nicely to each other. And with the Guts Hawk here, I love the design. This just general like flying wing shape. It just looks really cool in flight. And I love the red color with the splash of yellow, adding to the Guts Select overall color scheme. It's kind of an inverted color of the Guts Falcon, because that's primarily yellow with red and black highlights. This is primarily red with black and yellow highlights. Really cool color work. What's also cool is he does have an attack mode, much like the Guts Falcon, and that is essentially just turning him into looking like a giant manta ray. And you know what? I like it. I like this a lot. It's cool. It's not super like, you know, the most exciting thing ever. You can also flip these parts forward because these do have these little grabber claws, which open up to reveal cannons. So you can have him kind of flying around shooting cannons. And what's really cool too is they did add wheels to the bottom. So if you wanted to position him like this, for example, he can roll along a table pretty good. I think he actually rolls incredibly good for, once again, being a jet toy. What's also really, really, really cool is that they made this compatible with the Guts Falcon. So the Guts Falcon had these two pegs in the back that actually didn't do anything. Same with this middle clip here. I'm not exactly sure what that was intended for, but there's these two clips on top. So what you can take is you can take your Guts Hawk and your Guts Falcon and combine them like this, one on top of another like this, and this is some really cool design. You fold this back. As long as you line it up, it pegs into place. As long as you line it up is the key word. Peg into place, bring this forward, boom, there's the Guts Gryphon, which is a new combined super weapon. And I really, 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 really like this, because not only do you get some really good design symmetry with the yellow going into the yellow here on the bottom, as well as on the, well, what was on the bottom of the Hawk, but the top here looks really great. There even is an extra landing gear added, so that way this thing's got 4 wheels, which means, once again, for being a jet toy, it rolls better than most car toys, and that's pretty amazing. You can also position the cannon still, which I think is awesome. And yeah, I mean, this is a great, great combo. It's funny, too, in the show, this thing actually pops up to become a cannon, and that pops up just that much as it would in the series. It's very accurate and very good. Now, there is a deluxe premium Bandai edition of this coming out that has die-cast metal and metallic paint. So if you don't want the more basic toy version, that's totally an option. But I'm pretty happy with these. They make them for really, really fun pieces. And I love that the combination between two different shows' vehicles that get used in the same show is just a neat thing. And it feels planned from the beginning, even though I don't think it was. So here we have the deluxe Terraphaser from Ultraman Decker. Now, this debuted as a heroic robot, then also became an evil robot for a bit, and then went back to being a heroic robot. It's had a bit of an adventure. But this is the deluxe toy version. It's not an articulated figure entirely. It is designed around a few different gimmicks. But this is part of the Guts Select fleet, so let's take a look. So here is Terraphaser. He is based on Deathfacer from the Ultraman Dyna movie, and I love his design. I love the blues to the blacks, just the overall look of this thing. It looks really, really, really cool. What's also really neat is that this figure is fairly articulated. So we've got shoulders that move up and down. They do get blocked by the chest flap things. You also get a bit of a pivot left and right here with this one, and a rotation, but that's part of the gimmick, and hips that move forward and knees that bend. This is pretty good. Now, Terraphaser in the show is a suited character, so he's not too much bigger than Ultraman Decker, but if you compare him to the vinyl, he's a lot bigger than Ultraman Decker. Also, if you compare him to the figure art, he's a lot bigger than Ultraman Decker. So if you're wanting a more scaled to the Decker figures kind of Terraphaser, which I'm surprised they didn't do like a normal vinyl of him, or maybe they will later, I don't know. But if you want like a normal scale Terraphaser, there's an SH figure art that costs like 3 times as much as this one. So if that's your thing, you got that option. Normally figure arts are my thing, but I liked what this had to offer in features. So first of all, he does have the cool claw arm, which has this little thing on the back, which allows you to rotate it. And you can push it, and it closes the clasp, or you can push it harder, and it extends the arm and still closes the clasp at the end there. So that's pretty cool. It's a fun little gimmick. The actual cannon on the other arm doesn't really do anything, but you do get a feature here with the cannon closing. But you're probably wondering, well, where's the appeal in this thing? Well, let's take a look at what's going on up the head, because this thing's got sound effects. So just like in the show where this was controlled by Hanajiro, their support robot, as well as the evil villain Agamus, there's 2 different sound sets in the toy. So first of all, it defaults to, of course, Hanajiro, because he's adorable, but then it also has Agamus controlled sounds. And basically that's all activated by holding down this button to switch the modes. There also is a little dial up here that switches the eyepiece inside to make sure it matches what you're looking at. Of course, these sound effects don't have an on-off switch, because Bandai just seems to be allergic to those. And yeah, you got to pull the tab and it starts making sounds instantly. So let's go over the Hanajiro sound effects. Now, one of the most interactive features is when you close this, you actually get the TR Mega Buster sounds. going to switch it from the good mode to the evil mode. So there's the Guts Select fleet. But somebody's missing.
Ultraman Dyna! Flash type!
And there we go. So overall, I do like all these figures. The actual Nursedessi is a little bit, probably the weakest because of the weak joints. I think the Terraphaser is really fun, especially all the sound effects. And I do love the two jets a whole lot. They're probably my favorite part of this whole thing. But in general, whether you like just Decker or Decker and Trigger, this is honestly a pretty good set of toys. I do really like the way that they brought back the vehicles to Ultraman. It's been a very long time since we properly had them, and I'm hoping that the next Ultraman series will continue this tradition, because I'll be very interested to see what they'll do next. But if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell, leave a comment down below telling me your favorite Ultraman series, or specifically your favorite Ultraman vehicle from all the shows. I do really like the Guts Gryphon combined here. It's probably my favorite of them, to be honest. And in general, be sure to stay tuned for future videos, and check out my live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern for talking about Tokusatsu and so many other things. Also, be sure to find me on social media at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12. You can also find my awesome graphic designer on Twitter at DarkClaw643, and you can check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for Tokusatsu interviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.